Hey, welcome to another episode of Inside Cedar Creek. We're here at the Receiver Miller project and we're at drywall and insulation stage, so let's go take a look.
Remember in the last episode when I talked about covering the heat registers with some screen material to protect the vents from a bunch of debris going down there? Seems to be working. We have finally made it to the insulation and vapor barrier stage at the Receiver Miller project. One of the key things that you should always look for after the guys are done is you're going to want to pull back some of the tape on their electrical outlets and switches on exterior walls, and you're going to want to make sure that they have pulled this plastic poly pan through the poly, acoustical sealed behind it, and then sealed the poly pan to the poly, and then the tape goes out over top of everything. Every once in a while you'll get some guys that try cutting a corner and they'll just acoustical seal on the poly pan itself, put the poly over top, and then tape it to kind of hide that they've cut a corner. But you're going to want to definitely make sure that those poly pans are pulled all the way through the poly and then sealed that way. When I'm inspecting the poly pans, I'll do a spot check through the house. I'll pick a few different rooms and I'll pick some wall outlets, some switches, and I'll even get a ladder and I'll check the ceilings to make sure that that poly pan, it's a big poly pan for those can lights, and make sure that that has been pulled through as well and sealed properly. So we've taken a couple of extra minutes to protect the bathtub. This is a finished product. It has to go in really early on. You can see there's going to be a lot of work done in this bathroom around this finished product. So taking a couple extra minutes to cover it is going to go a long ways into protecting this product so we don't have any damage. Our clients have selected some pretty high-end exterior doors and windows for a couple key locations facing the lake on this house. So they are a unstained, unfinished wood jamb. So what I like to do is when I get these windows in place, I poly over the entire thing, and I ask the drywallers to cut by hand so they don't cut the poly. And what they'll do is they'll board this wall and leave the poly intact, and then that way when we are drywall mudding and texturing and priming, we don't get any materials on these windows at all, and it just saves us a lot of extra work in the end.
So this is the time of year that we start getting a ton of requests from people looking to find out what it might cost to build their dream home. And inevitably they ask the question, what is going to be the cost per square foot? And I cringe a little bit when people ask this because it can be really deceiving and hard to understand. There are about 1 million factors that can come into play when determining the cost of your new home. And the cost of the same floor plan can vary widely depending on your selections and design aspects. So let's take a look at one real life example that we had happen to us just last week. In our real life example, let's call our prospective client Amy. Amy is ready to start planning for her new castle. She's given us a few details about expectations of what she wants the home to include, but she really has no idea where to start, and she really doesn't want to waste her time and money designing a home that she can't afford. Ideally, Amy wants a 2-story home with a developed basement. She guesstimates that there will be 1,000 square feet on the main floor, 800 on the second floor, and 1,000 square feet developed in the basement, for a grand total of 2,800 square feet of living space. In this instance, we gave Amy a cost per square foot of $180, which means she should budget roughly $504,000 to build her new dream home. When Amy realizes that she doesn't want to spend that much money, she decides to build the same structure but leave the basement undeveloped, which means she now has 1,800 square feet of usable living space. So Amy figures that her revised plan should cost her approximately $324,000 when she does the same math. What Amy doesn't realize is that just because she decides not to develop the basement, there are still costs associated with that undeveloped space that needs to be accounted for in the calculations. This new estimate for her plans is so far out to lunch that it is about as useful as a kangaroo at a keyboard, and it will certainly leave Amy frustrated if she moves forward with the plans. When Amy calls us back to tell us of her new plans, we inform her of the new rough cost per square foot, and she is all set to start the planning process with a relatively useful ballpark cost to build her new castle.
So our customers have selected these wall mount faucets for the bathroom sinks. There is a lot of information that's need to be gathered before we install these things. You can kind of see by all the layout marks that we've done. We need to know the exact counter heights. We need to know countertop materials, countertop thickness, and you want to get the proper height from the top of the sink to the underside of the faucet. Same with the shower fixtures. These are pretty high-end fixtures, so you want to take your time, make sure that the layout is correct. What's going to function the best for your clients? You know, do you have like really tall clients? Do you have regular sized people or people like me? So you want to make sure that everything's functioning well, it's laid out properly, so that at the end of the day, once this thing has been boarded in, tiled, you don't have any rework to do.
Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you can catch the next episode of Inside Cedar Creek, where we will be installing interior doors and trim work.
Thanks for joining us for another episode of Inside Cedar Creek. We'll see you next time.
Dang it!
We've taken a couple extra minutes to protect this back